What does it mean to be Australian to you, and what are the values that speak to you the most?
I think that's a very good question. For me, being Australian is more about inclusion, social inclusion, democratic values, the importance of respect. And those are some of the values that resonate with me very strongly.
I think for me, being an Australian means being part of a community in a country which respects, accepts, and celebrates diversity. And I think that is a key factor which is not very much often found around the countries in the world.
What I love about this country is the freedom of religion. I love the way that everyone's able to practice their faith. And the other value that I really enjoy is the mateship one. I have noticed that Australia is so good at coming to someone's aid when things go wrong. The way everyone just comes together and helps each other is incredible. I haven't seen that anywhere else.
Being Australian is just, diversity, helping the community, just holding their hands and, working together as one family.
There are very few countries where you could truly say that you're free as a citizen, as an individual. And I think Australia is one of those countries where you can say you're free, you can say what you want to say, you can do whatever you want to do, as long as it doesn't harm anyone else.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think, and that brings us to the importance of institutions that have been created for a very long time. And when you look at the environment those institutions actually create for all of us, and we come together and do everything that we do, regardless of our religious, ethnic, and political views, where all these people from religious, racial, and ethnic background come together and celebrating and actually acknowledging each other. And when you look at other countries, other nations, they can't do the same thing. And that brings you to the importance of the system and the institutions that actually treat everyone equally, regardless of your position in the society. So these are the things that we must be very proud of as Australians, because there are not many societies or nations that enjoy those kind of privileges. So, and that's one of the things I like about this country.
Can you please tell us a little bit about what inspires you to do the work in the community?
I think for me in particular, I believe that I'm privileged by the virtue of being in this country, and that comes with certain responsibilities, and that is to maintain the values of Australia and what Australia means, and leave some legacy and contribute to making this country better for the future. Because look, it's up to all of us who are here and lucky enough to be here to contribute in not just ensuring it remains so, but becomes better.
I came to Australia in 2007 on a humanitarian visa. And I came with nothing. And I realized that a few years later, I was being celebrated everywhere. And that's because I have been empowered. I've been empowered by the people in this country. I've been empowered by the system. And they have seen something in me. And that means that if we empower people and give them the opportunity, you can never tell what people are bringing with them, So, and when I came, nobody knew what I got, my ability and all of that. So I came with nothing. I went to university here, got 2 master's degrees, and I would have not actually been able to realize those potentials somewhere else if it wasn't in Australia. And I thought, this is something you need to do to other people as well, to empower everyone to make sure that they realize their dreams and potential, and the importance of living that life of purpose. So how do you want to be remembered as a person? Because you're not going to live forever, and you don't know when you're going to live this life. So you've got to do something, empower people, and to be remembered for what you've done.
Do you have any advice on how we can encourage all Australians to show solidarity and respect for one another and acceptance of all people?
Now, my aim has always been to break down the barriers and the perceptions that people have of people of different faiths. Regardless of what religion you come from, you still have a bias. And most of us have a bias because of the cultural upbringings we've had in our own relevant countries. And when we come to Australia, we realise that we're actually living, working, commuting with those people that perhaps we've been told not to mix with. So what's the best way to get to understand them is by bringing them together. If you bring people together over very casual conversations, over a cup of tea, a biscuit, a coffee, build those friendships first, and then you can state, oh, by the way, I'm from. And what I would love to see is more youth groups from different religious places of worship come together.
So for me, when we started the Homeless Run 8 years ago, and we were just with another organisation called Rosie's, and they're a Christian organisation, completely different to our faith. And that's the beauty about Islam, is that we invite everyone. It shouldn't be just one religion helping on the street. Firstly, we are all human beings. So it's amazing, just being Australian, being, diverse, working with the group, regardless of religion or race where you come from, and just having that opportunity to represent yourself.
And I think that is worth protecting. That is what being an Australian is all about. Being divisive is not being an Australian. I think being uniting is what being Australian is all about.
Can you tell us a little bit about the challenges that are faced by multicultural communities in Australia, and how we can overcome some of those challenges?
A lot of multicultural communities feel conflicted about their identities, whether it's a religious identity. And that is sometimes because of, some rhetoric which they see on social media. I talk to a lot of young people in my school, and although they've been born and brought up in Australia, sometimes they feel that they're not Australians, they're not accepted. And that's a challenge, a huge challenge, an identity crisis, if you like, which a lot of young people go through, young Australians go through.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Ali. I think it's very important to see people growing into leadership roles in different sectors. And that will also inspire the younger people to see themselves that they have the opportunity here. They can make it at any level.
Can you tell me a little bit about what has continued your passion to work with young people from your community?
Well, just a few things. It's my family values around hard work, and the importance of compassion. And also knowing that we are the best solution to our problems. And the challenges the young people face, it's the young people themselves, the youth, who are the best solution to those problems. There's a trend now happening in a number of coal communities where relatively younger people are stepping up into the leadership role. And you can see a lot of positive change and energy everywhere, and a lot of elders actually standing behind them and support them. And that's what we need to encourage.
What does religious freedom mean to you? And why is religious freedom important in Australia, including the freedom of no religion?
Look, I think religious freedom is important because while Australian state has no religion, all religions which have been practiced in Australia are Australian religions. So Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, Judaism, or whatever you call it, whatever religion you follow, are Australian religions. They're not foreign to Australia. And then the people who choose not to follow religion are also equally Australian. But what binds us together is our nationality, and we have to respect our freedoms, whether it's freedoms to follow a religion or freedoms to not follow a religion. And once we come to that understanding, we will not be so judgmental on each other.
I like to learn from history. And when you look at the history of the world, and if you look at the peace, stability, and prosperity that's being experienced by different nations, it's because of those values grounded under freedom of religion and freedom of speech. And that's very important.
And it's the beauty about the culture in Australia is that, you can go down the mosque and pray, or, you can go to the church. It's all open doors, and you can go anywhere. It doesn't matter what religion or where you're from.
All migrants bring quite a rich history and culture to Australia. Why is this so important?
Migrants do bring a very rich history and culture to Australia, and I think it's a brilliant opportunity for mainstream Australians to learn about it, because at the end of the day, we need to know the world is smaller, don't you think? The world is the smallest it's ever been now. And getting to know people from different cultures and faiths is so much easier now than ever was before. It's so important to teach our children and feel proud that their ancestors built this country.
What are some of the most memorable or rewarding moments that you've experienced while working in communities?
Between 2018 2019, when there were incidents involving our young people and these stories about African youth crime, and I was doing a lot of interviews every day. And every single day that I appear on media, the overwhelming messages that were coming were not from the African community. They're from all different people, political leaders and community leaders and different community members who were concerned about me as a person first. And they would send me a message, are you okay? Take it easy, we are with you, and all of that. And that gave me like a sense of relief and happiness and appreciation of Australia as a country.
That's incredible, you know, showing that there's strength in your relationships and mutual respect. So thank you, Benny.
And I think, one more thing I'll add very quickly on this one. You remember Christchurch attack, and straight after the Christchurch attack, we did a community event at Islamic College of Brisbane, and more than 4,000 people showed up. But, while that tragedy occurred, it brought a lot more people together, and there was so much sense of solidarity. And as a Muslim myself, I felt, while the pain was there, but it was a little bit lessened, and there was a hope for the future. And I think that incident became a catalyst for unity, and that credit goes to values we have as Australians.
That Christchurch event is what really continued my passion in community, to break down barriers and not just come together when something negative happens, but, celebrating together and just enjoying that we are in such a beautiful country. We have freedom, we have mutual respect, there's a fair go for everyone. But my question to you is, what are the things that we can celebrate?
Last year, 2 of our youngsters and our homeless volunteers, they actually got pea license. I got my wife to make a cake in the pea shape with the red pea, and they came along, and the first thing we did was cutting the cake for both of them. After that, they came and gave me a big hug and said, "Thank you, Uncle, for doing it." And it's just celebrating the little win and encouraging them to.
I'm expecting a cake now too.
Have you got your peas?
I've got my full license now, and I've still managed to keep it. So we're celebrating that.
You'll need a much bigger cake for a full license, not just the pea.
We would like to go.
And this is something we need to know as a community, to highlight and to celebrate. There's so many people out there in the community and hidden talent that the public doesn't know. And it is our responsibility collectively to identify those people and highlight them, make sure that the public know about them.
What are the key values that you think shine through within our community?
So the key values I think that shine through in our community is integrity, generosity, compassion, and non-judgmental. I'm confident that all our communities are all of those things, and I think we should celebrate that.
If I were to point out a couple of things, I would talk about tolerance, very important. And all of the things that we are doing is because we tolerate our differences in terms of opinions and everything. So tolerance is so critical, and also compassion here in Australia, and respect. Even though you don't agree with someone, so you still respect their opinions and everything. So this is some of the values that have actually bind us together, and that's why we are as harmonious compared to other societies.
And I think the value of respecting the rule of law, it's amazing to see that even at midnight people stop at red lights here. And that's people respecting the law.
Sure, Ali.
Oh, absolutely. Full 12 points on my license. So, it's good to see that. I think it's good. It creates for a better society.
And Ansari, as the founder of Merciful Servants, a key focus of yours is to organising homeless runs, delivering food packs during COVID, and most recently in the floods in February. And in any natural disaster, always, taking the lead on organising volunteers and really giving back to our community. I guess my question to you is, what really ignited your passion to give back to the community and do so much work?
For me, giving back is, we came from a very poor family. I mean, my father passed away when I was 10, and mum raised us. And I always see, you know, we struggled, and there's a lot of people that struggles. You know, if I see someone struggling, doesn't matter who they are, where they're from, I always have to reach my hands, you know, out there to help them, because I know what it feels like to be in that situation. And recently, you know, I came across this family, Afghani family, and I've been helping them for the last 4 months. Try to help them up, you know, getting vouchers, getting, you know, helping them towards, putting them towards, like, linking them to NZF, Muslim Charitable Foundation, where they can get assistance. And it's just amazing, like, you know, encouraging them a little bit and taking them, talking to them, and I'm going to make a difference to their life.
So you all do an absolutely incredible job in our communities. So my question to you would be, what could you say to others to be inspired to work within communities the way that you might have?
Look, if I may start, I mean, look, it's not always sunshine, you know, sometimes it's very difficult. I think what keeps me going is when I come across people, overwhelming majority of the people who work in the community sector are kind-hearted and good people. And when you engage with them, you draw inspiration and positive energy out of them. And I think that would be the message I'd give, not just to everyone, myself as well, that, you know, there are a lot of people who are doing this for good reasons. You just need to go seek out, learn to forget, forgive people and yourself.
It's so giving. It's so giving. You give so much of your time, don't you? And you get so much back, but it's so fulfilling. You feel so good, and the fact that you've helped someone makes you feel good, far more than any monetary value.
I just want people to be outcome driven, you know, like focusing on what you want to achieve, and then surround yourself with like-minded people, people who actually think the same way, and rather than like those who are very negative, you know. So the thing that I do, I usually focus on those who are like-minded and those who are outcome driven. They're not focusing on what's being said out there, but what is it that we need to do? And the outcome will speak for itself. That's very important.
And for me, you know, success is always is looking at, you know, you humble yourself, you know, you focus yourself to reach somewhere. Like for me, I volunteer myself a lot. I work full-time as an electrical wholesale manager, and then after hours, I go out and, you know, do my homeless run and, you know, activity with the youth.
I'd like to touch on that as well. I think people who work in community, you know, I'm married, I have 3 children, but we take time out of our family life.
Yeah.
And because we're so committed and we so believe in what we're doing, that we do take time out of our family life to try and achieve a better society. And we're doing it for our children too.
What advice would you give to our youth?
Look, I think the advice I would give is future is yours. Keep being positive and keep going.
For me, it would be to say it's important that every day you wake up and make a decision, a choice. Those choices determine your future, and your future is determined when you are still very young. That's very important. So you're not going to determine the kind of future you're going to live when you get older. So when you are young is when you need to make the choice, the right choices every single day, and they will determine your future.
The advice I would give the youth of today is to not be judgmental. Try your hardest not to judge anyone. Get to know them first before you make decisions on anyone.
I love that one. That could go very far.
And I'll agree on Benny as well, is when you wake up in the morning, you need to have that can-do attitude.
Wonderful, thank you. I think as a youth leader myself, it's really inspiring to listen to all of your stories and, you know, seeing what our elders have accomplished and what we can hopefully, you know, be able to do as well. And I agree that it can get hard. There's times where you kind of second guess yourself or it's a bit too much, but it is so rewarding, it's addictive. And I think that's one of the best parts of working in communities. And so I'd like to say thank you to everyone. Thank you for all the work that you do, and I'm keen to see everything that you can all accomplish. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nadia. You've been amazing.
Thanks, Nadia. Thank you so much. Well done.